It was a warm summer evening when Paula decided to reveal the truth about what was happening in her life. Her mind was agitated as she prepared to reveal a secret that would change everything. Before finding out what happens, I invite you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next stories. Paula, a 40-year-old woman, had suffered for years the continuous mistreatment of her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. She was not the first, nor would she be the last woman to find herself in a similar situation. But her story had something unique. She and Matteo had met 10 years earlier in a small bar in the center of Florence. Something strong immediately sparked between them. Matteo was fascinated by Paula's determination and sweetness, while she admired his intelligence and adventurous spirit. The first years of their marriage had been filled with joy and complicity, with evenings spent dreaming about the future and impromptu weekend trips. However, over time, the interference of Matteo's mother and sister, Cristina and Ilaria, had begun to undermine their serenity. They denigrated and humiliated Paula for no reason, while she stood firm and let all that hatred flow. They destroyed her clothes, ruined her food and drinks, and slandered her business. They were furious because, they said, she had taken away their child. Paula still vividly remembered the day Cristina had spilled black ink on her new dress, just bought for an important presentation of the store. Or that time, Ilaria deliberately spilled salt in her coffee during a dinner with potential clients, then laughing out loud when Paula grimaced in disgust. Every little gesture, every poisonous comment had been designed to undermine her self-esteem and make her feel unwanted. Paula had tried several times to explain to Matteo how cruel her family was, but he had never believed her. Everything changed when Matteo saw the security footage from their crochet shop. Cristina and Ilaria had been caught vandalizing the building. Paula felt a mixture of anger and relief. I found out that my mother and sister had done something terrible. I never thought they were capable of so much, the man had said. Finally, he too understood what Paula had always tried to explain to him. Now, sitting in the silence of her bedroom, Paula thought back to all the sleepless nights spent brooding over what she had done to deserve so much hatred. He looked out the window at the starry sky and wondered if it was really his fault or if he was just a victim of the jealousy and meanness of those two women. The decision to secretly record had been born on one of those nights when, exhausted and desperate, she had understood that the only way to free herself would be to expose the truth. Paula decided to take revenge, and the perfect opportunity presented itself during a family reunion organized to celebrate the return of her uncle Giovanni. That day, Paula and Matteo arrived early at Cristina's house to help with the preparations. When they arrived, the faces of her mother-in-law and sister-in-law changed from forced smiles to looks of jealousy and disgust. During the preparations, Cristina and Ilaria commented with false concern on the vandalism suffered by Paula's shop. "Oh, what a tragedy, your shop vandalized," exclaimed Ilaria with false compassion. Paula smiled faintly, the microphone hidden under her dress, ready to record every word. The tension was rising as the party drew closer. Paula observed every detail, every look, every word spoken by Cristina and Ilaria. When the party began, the couple welcomed the guests with warm smiles, but Paula's heart was beating fast. Finally, the long-awaited moment arrived. With her heart pounding, Paula stood up and asked for everyone's attention. "I ask everyone's attention for a moment. I have an important announcement to make. Here are two people who have always hated me and who have conspired to make my life a living hell," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. At that moment, he played the recording of the conversation between Christina and Ilaria. The room filled with shocked looks. The two women's poisonous words and evil plans rang in the air, shattering the perfect image they had built. The tension reached its peak when Matteo, with an expression of determination never seen before, called the police. The sound of sirens filled the air as all the guests watched in silence, unable to believe what was happening. Christina and Ilaria tried to defend themselves, but the evidence was irrefutable. "We are the ones who vandalized your business. What are you going to do?" "There's absolutely nothing you can do," Christina admitted arrogantly, but her words were cut off by the police handcuffs. As the officers approached, the tension in the room was palpable. Christina shot one last hateful look at Paula, while Ilaria desperately tried to find an excuse to justify their actions. But there was nothing that could save them. The handcuffs snapped onto the wrists of the two women, and for a moment, the room was immersed in an eerie silence. The family watched in silence as Christina and Ilaria were arrested. Uncle John, who had always tried to keep peace in the family, shook his head sadly. "I would rather be in prison than spend any more time with those two toxic women," he said. A nervous laugh spread among the guests, but Paula knew that that evening would mark a turning point in her life. His revenge had been sweet. Christina and Ilaria spent the night in prison, reflecting on their mistakes. Upon their release, they were forced to pay a fine for the damages, a further blow to their egos. From that moment on, every time Paula met them, she saw shame and fear in their eyes. She still remembered precisely the day she decided to secretly record the two women. Every word whispered, every look filled with contempt. It hadn't been an easy decision, but it was necessary. "I couldn't stand them ruining everything I'd worked so hard to build anymore," Paula thought. The sleepless nights spent thinking about how to get revenge had finally paid off. The recording had not only exposed the two women, but had also shown Matteo a truth he refused to see. "I was tired of being treated like an intruder, like I was the problem," Paula reflected as the police took the two women away. "And you, what would you have done in Paula's place? Would you have succeeded in taking revenge in this way, or would you have done worse?"